Hello friends, another controversial video, this time on the theme of Panafricanism. And for those who are new to this, I think Panafricanism is, how can I call it, a movement or an ideology that promotes cooperation between all African people. And by African, that's Africans on the continent, and those in what's called the diaspora, that would mostly be the African in America, or African, and maybe the Caribbeans, in the UK, etc. I'm not quite sure of the origin of the movement, but I think it was stronger during independence days with the freedom fighters such as Patrice Lumumba in the Congo, Felix Houphouët-Boigny in Ivory Coast, and many more. Maybe Julius Nyerere in Tanzania, Agostino Neto, etc., etc. At that particular time, African countries have a sort of a common enemy, the colonizer. I think it was easier back then to form a movement around unity and cooperation to get rid of the colonization. But at this time, I think it is a sort of a BS elitist stuff that doesn't have any practicality to it. Now, for those who know me, I'm not an ideologue. I'm not a dreamer as much. I'm a pragmatic, practical type of individual. So I'm going to analyze and assert that this Pan-Africanism in the modern age isn't practical. I'm going to start with the diaspora. In the diaspora, we have got mainly the United States. When you look at the state of the Black community in America, it is in dysfunction. The family structure is gone. Their hoods are riddled with crime and the drugs and the gangs and single mothers and all sorts of dysfunction. The majority of Black American men are in jail, apparently. Don't quote me on these numbers. The majority also are born out of the wedlock and raised by single mothers, with all the negative statistics and the stereotypes attached with that. And there's a certain enmities between men and women in America, in Black America in particular. So among themselves, there seems to be no unity, let alone trying to unite with the rest of Africa. Then you look into the Caribbean, we've got a very dysfunctional state of Haiti. And maybe the rest is doing okay, but just okay, not grand. And I probably only hear of Jamaica, but I think it's not a great nation either. Now you come to the African continent. First forth, countries don't get along among themselves. As we speak, there is a war between the Congo, or the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and the Rwanda. Probably Eritrea and Ethiopia had also been engaged in at least a proxy war, if not an open one. Rwanda and Burundi have always tension at their borders. In West Africa, we know what's happening between the ICOMOG countries and the new three Sahel countries that united against the other bloc. Pretty much hard to think of uniting those countries that don't get along to start with. Then you go inside the countries. The majority of African countries are riddled with a very nasty tribal wars. I will start with the Burundi again and the Rwanda. They've been at war since the independence, two small primitive tribes fighting at the infinitum. Then, as I was saying, in the Congo, there's a tribal war that has been there for, I don't know, 30 years, I can think. And it's not gonna stop soon. We know what's happening in South Sudan and in North Sudan or Sudan per se. Again, as I said, in the Sahel, we have got a lot of groups and the rebels fighting established governments or actually military junta. It's just a messy continent, if you ask me. There is no way you can think of uniting them. We don't have got nothing in common. Even the tribes are fighting among themselves. It's the only continent where you find one single country with 50 tribes speaking 50 different languages. Like, it is ridiculous. And with the sometimes no common African language, they have to resort to French, for instance, as their common language. If you think of some countries in French colonies, they never were able to find a language that is theirs. They use French as common language, but if you move from region to region, you can't understand what the other person is saying. But again, French is a very difficult language and it's the language of the elite. So not every African, even if they've been in colonies of France, cannot speak French. So they end up with very disjointed tribes cohabitating together. So that's why I don't think this Pan-Africanism is a reality, something real. I don't see Africans coming together with one army because they are already fighting between themselves, or one economy. Even the borders, Africa still has the strangest borders in the entire world. Moving from one country to another is a pain, even for Africans themselves, which has been abolished in many other continents. I mean, my wife is Filipina, and if she wants to go to Malaysia, to Thailand, she just shows up at the border and she gets a stamp. Even a country as good as Singapore, we didn't need to apply for a visa. Try to do that in Africa, almost impossible. It's small border you have to cross. You need a visa, and the application process is complicated. And even with a visa, you could still be denied or asked to buy them. So it is really impossible from a practical point of view to have any Pan-Africanism. So it's gonna stay in the elitist, African elitist minds and the brains and the talks and the lectures and the articles. Just a bluff. And Africa likes to intellectualize things. We've got so many intellectuals. We've got the degrees and the masters and PhDs in the politics, political analysis, history, human science, all these useless liberal degrees, some of them gotten in France, in the UK at a huge price, who do nothing but lecturing around in conferences, on YouTube. But they know, probably, I don't think they're that idiot, they know it is impractical, it is useless thing. But also Africa is struggling with its own economies. People are starving in their villages. They don't care what language is being spoken in Nigeria, in Ghana, in South Africa, if they are from Uganda. All they need and all they know is how to get their banana meat or meal in the evening. That's all. So these grandiose ideas of reuniting Africa, having a common language, having a common monetary system, it's just some sort of elitist thought or luxury thought that is only in the brain of the elite or the pseudo-intellectuals of Africa. So I call it bullshit for what it is. If you think I'm wrong, please tell me how you are going to unite those tribes of Africa. Have a good day. Bye.